just start it and see where we
Just
go.
start it. Just hit record. Just hit record and see where it takes us. All right. Welcome back. Episode something. Season 3. Episode. We should start keeping track of how many of these things we've done. Alex, how was your trip to Italy? I got a jumping off point, but I want you to talk about Italy first because what I have to talk about is kind of related. And it's serendipitous because I found something cool in my procrastination, internet scrolling, time wasting, and I want to show you and show the listeners, and I think it's pretty sweet. But it is actually kind of semi related to your trip and your experience in Europe. So let's start there, and then we'll do the old segue. We'll do the old podcaster segue.
We could do that. Yeah, we
into
can transition.
What I have to show you.
Nice. All right. So my wife, Megan, is, ever since we got married, or even before we got married, she was like, I'd love to go to Italy. It's like on her bucket list. It was just, she's always wanted to go. And if you guys know me, so I grew up in Indiana. I'm a simple man. I would have never put on Alex Twingy's bingo card when he was 12 that he was going to go to like Greece, Portugal. You know, like I've been to Europe many times, much less Italy, like go to the Colosseum and like touch the walls. So for me, like the whole trip, I was just like so grateful that I have a wife that's like, hey, we should go do this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. So the trip was amazing. I mean, we've been a lot of places. My wife and I have been a lot of places. And this was one of the very first that we got there. And I was like, oh, this is even better than I expected it to be. Like we went to, Santorini. So like that's the very scenic bougie island. We went there. It was nice. Italy was awesome. The food was amazing. It's the thing that is so impressive about Italy is the fact that you are in buildings and structures that are 2,000 years old, that you're touching things that literally have existed for 10 times longer than the United States has. It's so hard to conceptualize that amount of time. Like you're one of the Duomos, or like the basilicas that we went to that's in Milan, has one of the holy nails from when Christ got crucified, which is the fact that is like tangibly that's there. And the Colosseum was built in 70 AD. So that means that there was somebody who was alive that probably witnessed the death of Christ and also was at the Colosseum.
Yeah.
It's so hard to like wrap your mind around that. And then you go to the Sistine Chapel, or you see any of the sculptures that are in the Vatican that are, all the stolen Vatican stuff. But if that's, you just go and you see, it's just the endless amount of things that have been built by humans by hand. No machines, everything's by hand, and it's all still there. We went to a winery that has 30 people in the town. 20 of them work for the winery. The buildings in the town are from 1170. They've not been altered. The only way that they can get like a winery in there is they have to take the roof off of the building and put all of the stuff into the building and then put the roof back on the building. It's just the ingenuity of the engine, and a lot of these like retrofittings happened in like the 50s and 60s, right? So the ingenuity to do that on top of keeping these original structures in place, it was just, and like the landscape was beautiful. The food was awesome. It was, the people were so nice to Megan and I. And I mean, like, if you guys have met my wife, she's just fantastic. So it's like, she's like smiley blonde person. So it's like, everyone's nice to her, but it was, it was a really, really cool trip. It was, every time we go, anytime Megan and I get to go somewhere new, somewhere that's like far away from us, not to say that there isn't perspective gained when you go somewhere in the United States, just seeing other things or like traveling to other states. But when you go and experience like a completely different culture, when you go and experience something that is so much of their culture is based around faith, right? Or like the old remnants that fuel their tourist economy are based around the Catholic Church. And like religion and just how that's perceived. But then you go out and you experience food, and that's a completely different culture, but yet they blend together because of, how, where they came from. And it's the perspective you gain from doing that, I think, is so valuable. And it's just to take a step back and be like, the fact that I have the privilege to be able to go on that kind of trip in my life is just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
I got a pile of shoes behind me and I get to go to Italy. It's like, it's just like, I got 2 vacuums. Who needs 2 vacuums? Like, just we talk about this a lot. It's like that abundance part of it. But I'm telling you guys, if you get the chance, we did Rome, Florence. We did the coast, La Spezia, which is Cinque Terre, is like these 5 coastal cities that are all like, if you see like a screensaver from Italy of a coastal town, it's one of those towns. And then we did Lake Como, and Milan. It was so cool. It was like the whole trip was a blast. Like, there wasn't a thing that we did that I was like, meh, I could pass on this. Like, it was just walking around in Rome, or like we spent the entire day. What we did, like 12 and a half miles one day when we were in Florence, just walking around, just like looking at stuff. And it was cool. And it's, I think if you're like if you're a person that's married, and especially for Megan and I owning a business, like we spend a lot of time together, but there's a big difference between spending time together and spending time together. So like going that far away allows you to really like be with your spouse, which I think was another thing that was so valuable on the trip. So yeah, it was great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, man. Have you ever heard of the word sonder?
No.
It's so I had to look it up. I had to remind myself what the actual word was, but it's sonder. And the definition is the realization that every single person around you is living a life of their own. And I don't really feel that until I travel. But I talk about this a lot when I go places. Even just driving, like, I don't need to go overseas necessarily to like get this feeling. Like, for example, last time I drove to visit our in-laws in Ohio, we drive through Indiana, and there was like road construction or a crash or something on the interstate. And so we got off the interstate and we were like weaving through like back roads in Indiana. And it's like these 2-lane roads, rural, like farmland, but we're driving by people's houses. There's like houses right there. Right. And like I'm on like a dirt road, and I drive by a house, and there's like a yard, and there's like kids' toys in it. And there's like a truck that's like halfway taken apart. And, there's another house that's like a brand new build. It's like, it's very obviously somebody just built a home there like recently, and I was like commenting on it. I was like, it's wild. Like, this stretch of road right here, we will probably never drive down again. And we just flitted by somebody's whole life. Like, we just got a little glimpse of like, there's the kids' bikes, and there's a trampoline in that yard. And like, people, their whole life is right there. Like, they are living, they go to the store, they eat dinner, they watch football on TV, whatever. Right. But like, they're just a background character to me, but they're the main character of their own story. And like, when I travel places, like when I haven't been in other countries a whole lot, I went to Switzerland when I was in high school because we had friends that lived there. And I went to Mexico on my honeymoon. But Mexico, I really felt that in Mexico. Like, you're driving by, I've been to the Dominican Republic as well. And I feel that in the Dominican Republic a lot too. Like, because people in those places kind of just like hang out outside because it's warm and it's nice. So if I'm in like a taxi going somewhere and I'm driving through like a city, there's lots of people just kind of like loitering on the sidewalk in front of their house or in front of their business, right? It's like a mechanic shop, and they're waiting for a car to come in, and they're just kind of like hanging out, right? And they're sitting around smoking cigarettes, whatever it is they do. But I'm like, there's a guy, and like, I'm going to leave and he continues to exist. Like, it's not like I leave and he doesn't exist anymore. Like, he's going to keep doing whatever it is that he does. And it's a kind of a weird, it sounds like it's like, well, yeah, duh, of course he does. But you don't stop and think about this stuff until you travel and you see people living their whole life. And it's especially like, you feel it a lot when that life is way different than yours.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I feel you feel it more the more contrast there is from your day-to-day life than you live, because you're like, wow, they have this whole life that's way different. Like that town of 30 people. What do the other 10 people do, by the way? So
They
20
were
people worked at the winery. What do the other 10 people do?
well. There were two restaurants in the town. So there's like an Osteria, and then there was like a breakfast spot, and then the rest of them were just retired. The guy goes, our
Kicks
tour
ass.
guide goes, he goes, it's good to chill. It's a good chill place. People come to chill. And it was, but like that is, I mean, that's very astute. I've never, I guess I consume that, but I've never really put a bunch of thought to it. But it is, if you think about the sense that you're, for Megan and I, it was like a leisure trip, right? But people are coming to see them all the time. And then people probably do that to us. They're like, oh, he just exists at this clinic all the time. That's his life. Like this is his whole
Mm-hmm.
job, and it is, that is interesting. That's interesting. I've never thought about it, put a word to it. I've thought about it definitely when we've gone, but I've never put intentional thought to being like, oh, I guess they live there. I just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's their life. Okay, next. But yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing.
I can't explain it. I feel it like really strongly sometimes. Like it freaks me out, honestly. Like it gives me. Have you ever had the like weird deja vu feeling that you get when you're in like a transitional space, like an airport?
I
Like,
get I get deja vu so often. I've gotten it ever since I was a kid. I've gotten it so many times. I think it was my grandpa, like one of my grandpas. It was like an older relative, and he said that when he was a kid, this is someone who was born in like the person who told him this was born in like 1890, was like, if you're experiencing a lot of deja vu, maybe, I do think so. Small caveat. I do think that there's parts of us, like as humans, that, travel through, like you die. I think there's parts of you that continue on. Like I think there's a part of you that has existed in different, you know, pieces and parts throughout history or through the future. I think energy is one of those things. Energy, kind of like how you move, and like your soul, like the part of you that is like the essence of you, like pieces of you comes from other people. Like you're not just like a one soul being. Like this is just you, right? So he was telling me, he goes, if you're experiencing a lot of deja vu, you might be doing the right thing, or you might be going in the right direction, or part of whatever makes you who you are, the experiences that you've gathered, your brain is trying to put those pieces back together. And I always thought that was kind of a cool concept. I was like, I don't know how much juice that has, but I get deja vu all the time. Like I'll be standing
yeah.
in my house. I've only been in this house 2 years. I'll be standing in my house and I'll be like, why do I feel like I've done this 700 times? Like, and it's a weird, but yes, continue. Sorry. Yep.
That's interesting. For me, it's always a bad feeling. It's disorienting. It
Really?
feels like I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. Like that's what it feels like for me. So, but I really experience it most strongly in like transitional spaces, like late night airport. You're walking through, and it just feels like everybody around you is not a real person. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all like I'm in a simulation. Like something about airports. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
It's because it's like sterile and weird. And that
That's
I'm
fair.
gonna come back to that. That's part of the other thing I want to show you. But um, it's that feeling I feel really strongly when I'm observing regular people go about their lives. It's like, am I the background character? Like, am I a real person? Like, oh my god. So I don't know. It's a really interesting thing when you're around
That's funny.
people, not just places, but people, right?
I could see you doing that. You just freaking panic for no reason. Everybody panic.
So okay, so check this out. Go to actually let me before I show you what it is, I'm going to frame this. Okay, so one of the things that I love about Europe and what I love about history and humans is that when you look at old stuff, you can tell that people really used to care about the beauty of everyday objects, everyday items, mundane objects that you use every day. They would make an effort to make that thing beautiful. On top of that, they had this feeling that like what I am building is going to be here for a really long time, right? They building things to last generations beyond themselves. They cared about that, right? Every time you learn about a historical figure, it's like, and here's his diary, here's his journal. It's like, do you journal? I don't, and I'm always like, should I be journaling? Like should I be have a diary? Just in case I end up doing something cool, people can go back and read it.
No one's
But
gonna run a read your Scrabble. No one's gonna be like, "What's this guy talking about?"
Everybody used to have this feeling, like I want people to know that I existed, right? And now it just doesn't feel like so many people care about that. It's like, I don't know, it's just a thing. It's just an item. Who cares, right? Like, in mass production. And so like, I think about, why do people stop caring, right? Like, or did they even stop caring, but it's just like a pragmatism thing. Like, it's too expensive. It takes too long. We need too much stuff. We can't take that much time making it. We're losing craftsmen because it's not, you can't support a family with the money you make from being like a stone mason or whatever the hell. Right. And so then we have architecture that, like, there's some buildings that we have in cities that I've been to. There's one in Minneapolis. There's a couple there's one in Columbus, Ohio. There was one in New York that I saw when I was there, that it offends me. It makes me sick looking at it. It's like, I don't want, that's humongous. It's a 37 story building, whatever it is. It's a huge building and it's ugly. Whose idea was that, right? There was a building right next to the Brooklyn Bridge in New York that was like a Verizon building, and it looked like something out of like a dystopian movie. Just brown concrete, perfectly symmetrical, just square windows, just gross. Absolutely no adornment whatsoever. It looked like somebody took a cardboard box and just went and popped it down and poked holes in it. And I was like, that's the skyline of one of the greatest cities in the world, and you didn't even bother, And like, you look at the Chrysler Building or the Empire State Building and the beautiful Art Deco, the Gothic architecture, the City Hall in Manhattan, and the where the library is. All that stuff is gorgeous, but it was all built in a time when people gave a shit about this, apparently. So I stumbled on this. Go to monumentallabs.co. Actually, can I screen share on this thing we use?
Yeah.
I can screen share. Look at this.
You can. I'm on it.
Look at this. All right. Look at this. We got technology. Okay.
Use the technology, Zachary.
So I think this is really cool because it's like, so somebody somewhere was like, okay, we stopped making shit beautiful. Why? It's too expensive. It takes too long. We can't mass produce it. All right, let's do that. Let's make it cheaper. Let's make the ability to mass produce it more practical. And so somebody, I got to figure out the guy's name, because I found it on LinkedIn actually, and the guy's name was attached to it, but I didn't save the guy's name. He figured out, so they're making these beautiful stone sculptures with robotics, and then they're being finished by humans. So like, they design it in computers. They have AI driven robots that will rough out the stuff, and then like they're bringing in a human to just kind of like put the finishing touches on it, rather than a human doing the whole thing from start to finish. And so they're building, like, they'll build sculptures for like decorative sculptures, right? Like small, large items, like things that, so this is 500-pound sculpture of,
Cheese and rice.
So, so you can see, like, this is 370 hours of
milling,
369 hours of robotic milling time, and 370 hours of hand. So you can infer that this would have taken, if it's 370 hours of hand just to finish it, you can infer that it probably would have been, what, thousands of hand hours, right?
Dude,
and so this is just sculptures. And then you go to architecture, and this is my favorite part, because they're doing architecture renaissance. They're like, this is the AI architectural renaissance. And so they're going to try to return to making buildings beautiful, like stone fronts, stone ornamental columns, and tracery and brackets, and the figures on the surrounds and all this stuff, the facades. And they just have a menu that you can pick from if you're designing a building now. And like, so yeah, 50 to 70% lower construction costs. Beauty comes standard. I love that line. I love that copy. Beauty
So
comes
cool.
standard.
96% less embodied. That's crazy. The fact that you could cut the carbon kickoff from concrete down 96%. That's insane.
Yeah, and they have this like, okay, so if you want an obelisk, you know, we got
I
you,
want an
dog.
obelisk. Yeah, I want an obelisk.
$2.5 million for an obelisk before, $750K with robots. So like, and I love this, like, because people will be like, oh well, it's like a loss of craftsmanship, and if this is what it takes, this is what it takes, because I would rather have robots doing it and still live in a world that's beautiful than this guy. This is the guy I saw right here. Micah Spring, yeah, you know, whatever that is. Springut.
What a last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool, man.
That's
I mean,
sick, man.
And so they're keeping a thing alive that I think is absolutely critical to life in the world, is appreciating beauty in everyday life. Like I went to a museum in Dayton, Ohio recently, and Dayton apparently is known for being like the home of inventors. And NCR, National Cash Register, was headquartered in Dayton. The cash register was invented in Dayton, Ohio. And, you know, at the time, it was kind of like a revolutionary thing. Like it was an adding machine with the automated drawer, and it had security. It was like a lockbox also, and all that stuff, you know. And so, because before it was just like very super manual, right? And so obviously it was still a little bit manual for a long time, but all of these, they had this massive display of cash registers all over the wall. And what I loved about it was they were all beautiful. Like each one of these was unique. No two were alike. They were made of like metal of some kind. They were made of aluminum or gold or whatever the hell. And they were like intricately decorated. They had all of these designs and all of this beauty built in, and they were interesting to look at, and they were like, there was obvious care that was taken in making these objects. And I just was staring at him going like, people used to care about this. People used to want their everyday object to be beautiful, right? You'd walk into some store and they had this beautiful item sitting on the desk where I bought stuff. And then now it's so like soulless and cold. It's like, oh, this hunk of plastic. And why? Well, because it's cheaper, and because it's, you know, they got to make so many of them, so they don't have the time to do that. But if this at scale with like robotics speeding up the process to the level that like, I'm so like, if I was, I've said this about other things recently too. Like if I had the liquidity, I'd be finding a way to write this guy a check. Like, get me in this. I want to invest in this so bad.
That's one of the things that made, obviously, like, this is a great caveat from Italy. That's one of the things that made it so incredibly special. How did you do the screen share? I want to show these people a picture just for perspective on like, it'll help a lot. Share.
It's on the bottom. Yeah. Screw us. This is terrible podcasting. Where's the button?
I got it. Okay. Can you see it, Zachary? Is it it's in the picture?
Okay. I can see it.
So you can see it. Okay. Right. You can see this. Me and Megan.
I can see it.
And then there's okay, great. So if you guys are watching,
listeners, can you hear it?
Can you hear my brain rattling? In this picture, Megan and I are standing on top of the Duomo in Milan. Okay. The Duomo Milan is just amazing. On the very top of it, there's a statue that's made of copper that's 13 feet tall. It's the highest. It's a monument to, I can't remember exactly who. Anywho, when you look at this, if you can see this picture, how ornate every single piece of this is. And this is all handcrafted marble. One of the things they say in Milan is doing well if there's always work being done on the Duomo, because it's constantly being updated, because marble does in time fade. But to have the kind of craftsmanship like what Zach was just talking about, I mean, you can see how there's brighter pieces of marble and darker pieces of marble. Mm-hmm. The darker pieces have been around for eons, but have still been rebuilt back to the original quality that there was. So the whole point of this is that there are still craftsmen that do this. And I totally agree. This is a take that I've had for years on cars.
Mm-hmm.
In the from the 50s, like late 40s to the early 70s, cars were sick. They were unique. Chrome changed every year, every 2 years. It was like a piece of art and it was awesome, right? And now we just have mass produced pieces of plastic. Like it's like, yeah, they're more durable and they drive further and that's great and all, but like I'm not getting stirred up about a Toyota Prius.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
make
man.
me feel anything. And I think that's like you said, the sterility of like our culture as far as a perfect example is like homes, modern homes, right? You go look at a
Mm-hmm.
modern home, unless it's like in a fully custom home, it's just, oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's plastic siding and they put a window in it. Next, next, next.
Builder grade,
Yeah.
millennial
And it's
gray.
and that's we were when one of the other things we were in Rome and we were sitting in a piazza, right? And we're sitting with this couple and they're a British couple and they just flown in. They're just like, hey, we're here for a weekend. It's only 2 hours, yada yada. Super nice people. And the guy I'm sitting next to in the UK, they're having a problem with like recladding. So they're taking all these older buildings and restructuring the outside so that they're up to code, quote unquote. They keep having issues with like electrical fires and just anything that causes damage because the structure of the homes that were built then are were like in the interim. They were in the between. They aren't old enough that they're like will stand anything. You know, they aren't from 1600s where it's like, oh, you can't kill it. You know, but they're not
Yeah.
new enough that they're up to modern code. And
Yeah.
the irony of it is that we're having lunch in a building that's been there since 1420 or something
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like I looked at him, I go, do you realize how silly this conversation is? It's like, look at this. It's like, you think this thing's up to code? It's not falling on our heads, you know?
Yeah, right.
And it's surrounded, like the entire piazza is surrounded by all these buildings that are linked together. Megan made a very astute observation. So part of that beauty or like the grandeur of it, we were in this one town called Montepulciano, and it's this tiny little town up on a mountain, right? Because medieval times, everybody had to protect themselves. So everything, they're all walled cities, right? So anything that's elevated land is safe, correct? So
Yeah.
we're up probably like 600 or 700 feet, and it's all walled in. All of the buildings are built into each other, right? So they're like, there's not space between buildings on the edge of the town. There's not space between the buildings in the town. There's just causeways that have been built, and there's like an opening. And Megan goes,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that that impacts like the structural integrity? Do you think that because they're all built as one, they
Yeah.
can withstand it better? And I said, that's so astute. It's like, that's such a
Yeah.
great thought. I was like, probably because they
Yeah.
build the whole town up and then everything is like the network, it's all woven together, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree as far as I would be like if I when you go into St. Paul, like the older parts of St. Paul and you see the like brick buildings that are from like
Yeah.
late 1800s, early 1920s, you're like, this is so nice to look at. This is fantastic. And then you go 5 minutes outside of it and it's just like row housing and you go, oh, so we're back
Yeah.
to this, huh?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's what
I
I
totally
like
agree.
St. Paul for that. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorite things about St. Paul.
I think it's really important for just as a culture, right, to like what you're looking at, like to
Yeah.
have it go, man, someone built that with their hands. Like that is something that was created with intention. I think is so valuable. I think it's awesome. Whereas like you just look at a warehouse and you go, nice, we got more of those
Yeah.
coming. Perfect.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's one of the things that I really like about baseball, actually. And it's golf is this way a little bit. Now, golf doesn't have the stadiums. Baseball stadiums, to me, have the cathedral feel. Yankee Stadium is built this way. Um, some of the stadiums that I visited are less so. Like Tropicana Field in Tampa is not a cathedral. It is a fucking coffin.
It's a
It's a
dud.
coffin. It's terrible.
Mhm.
Um, don't
PNC
bother if you're
PNC is amazing. Camden Yards, both of those are very cathedral like. Wrigley
the
Field
stadium in
is.
Cincinnati is that way.
Yep. Yep. The
Kansas
Great
City is
American.
that way. Wrigley,
Yep. Is
and
amazing.
so there's a romanticism attached to the game of baseball that is kind of unique to that sport, and it's also like the bat has not changed a whole lot in the existence of the game, right? The ball is still, it's made differently and it's wound tighter, but it's still freaking string. It's string and leather. The
Yep.
bat is just wood. It's carved in a particular way, but it's still wood. And the cathedral and the grass and golf is this way a little bit too, right? There's a romanticism attached to the game, especially for like the purists. You go out and you have the courses are all designed in a way that it's not just about how it's played, but it's about the aesthetics. It's about how I want to stand on a tee box, and architects are standing on tee box thinking about what am I going to see when I observe and I look out at this golf hole, and I think it's really special when things that are like recreation kind of still have an element of that, the beautiful game, the beautiful, whatever it is. Because I think that like a lot of the architecture is in some ways is kind of about connecting to nature and your roots. I like that, if you go and stand in a forest, for example, like you look at all the trees, the intricacy, like if you just stand quietly and look, for the longer you look, the more you'll see. And I like looking at buildings that have that. The longer you look, the more stuff you see, right? There's just so much detail, where it's like, but if I go to like your average bus station and I'm look at like, I can look for 1 second.
Yeah.
I've seen it all, there's nothing to see,
No, nice.
know?
No,
And
I agree. And not that everything needs to have like, not that every warehouse needs to have that, right? But if you go into like the older parts of Chicago, the warehouses are that because they're built out of like older buildings, which is cool. But
yeah,
not that it's necessary. Things like having intentional thought put into things, I think is something
yeah,
that, I mean, you can say that about anything, right? You can say that about the intentional thought of like, making time to do something like this, or the intentional thought of getting to know somebody, or the intentional thought of actually listening to an athlete or listening to a person when that's the hard part. I think we get because of how fast our technology and like our society moves. I'm the old man on the porch right now, but because
yeah.
it moves so fast that you lose the importance of the smaller things, right? And I 100% agree as far as just like baseball has that. Football doesn't really have that. Like some of the stadiums are pretty cool. Like some of the stadiums are really cool in themselves, but it's just a square.
Yeah.
The football field's just a square. There are no like intricate dynamics. That the shape of the field's not nuanced. It's just like, okay, pop a
Yeah.
square down.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, have you ever seen a team run the power I? Because there's real beauty in that. Have you seen anybody really establish the run the football, the beautiful
Brother,
game?
I've established the run. Let me tell you, there's beauty in beating the shit out of somebody for an entire game. It's the best. Yeah, yeah, no, I dig it. There's
Oh
beauty in
man,
that for sure.
I was watching a little bit of college football yesterday. I got home from dinner and I turned on. It was Michigan State last night, and the college game is great because you can tell there's so much. The NFL is less this way because there's less teams and it's so like there's so much parity, where there aren't so many teams that like run way different offenses. Like it does have, like you'll see that the Lions pull out a lot of gadget plays, now that their offensive coordinator is the head coach of the Bears, you're seeing them do it a little bit now. And the Chiefs are known for that. But in football, you'll see these wild contrasts between coaching styles. And I love it. I absolutely love watching a team that's like lining up with like, two tight ends and a fullback, facing up against a team that's like running the spread and they're in the shotgun, empty sets, and you see, I love that about sports. I love the contrast. I love the styles. I love the tastes, the subjectivity, it's tremendous. It's just great.
Yeah,
And
it's art. It's art,
it's
man.
art. It's an expression.
Mhm.
It's an expression. It's
It is.
tremendous.
Mhm. I agree.
All right, Alex, what do you think? Is that the pod? I got nothing else. I just wanted to talk
Yeah,
about
no,
building today.
that was cool. That is. I want a piece of something from that company. I want like a bust of some. I want a bust of Barry Bonds to put somewhere in my house. Dude, that'd be so cool. I wonder how much it costs. I wonder how much a bust of Barry Bonds would cost. Just a little one, like just like a like this big, just a little guy. or maybe him probably, dude. When he dropped the bat, when he broke the record, and he has his hands up like this,
give me that.
That would be sick.
Yes.
I wonder how much that would cost. I might inquire.
Well, what do we got? So, is there prices on any of this stuff?
You have to commission it.
Yeah, they're all commissioned.
I already was looking because I was like, oh, there was like that boom box. They had that retro stereo made out of marble or whatever. It's so cool. Could you imagine having that just hanging around somewhere in your house? Like, what's that? Robots made it. And then robots made it, and then someone was like, I'm going to make it even better. And I did put their hands on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Pets would be cool too. Like, I would love to have like stone. You see the commission, anything in stone, they have pets as a suggestion. That'd be really cool. Commission
sculpture
a Monty statue, life-sized Monty in the backyard, just big chest, big jowl.
Could you imagine how heavy a Monty statue would be if it was to the same of stone? It'd be like 400 pounds. It'd be awful. Yeah, it'd be terrible. You would never move it. You'd put it. Well, I guess that's kind of what they do anyway with sculptures. You just put them in place, and you're not really moving them unless you're the Vatican. Okay, you're stealing them from other cultures. Then you're moving them all over the place. But that's fine.
I used to joke that my financial goal in life was just simply to have an excuse to fly on a private jet from time to time. I'm gonna add one. My financial goal is to be able to afford to get marble busts of things made just because I want to.
That'd be so cool, man. Just around your house, you're like, who's that? Put Bonds up over there in 2027. I haven't touched him since.
People forget he led the league in OPS for 5 years in a row.
Yep. You know? Bonds, I got Bonds over there, and then that back there, Susan B. Anthony. Figured the coin wasn't enough. Got to put her up in my house. Oh man, yeah.
Tremendous.
That's all.
All right, wonderful.
All right.
Okay, that's
see you soon.
fun.
Bye.